Hello everyone and welcome to the most important tournament of January. It is the Tata Steel Masters and we have a wonderful game between Gukesh and Ding Liren. It's a wonderful tournament, some very strong players, strong names here like two 2800 players, the only two 2800 players in the world today, Magnus Carlsen and Ding Liren, and some very strong upcoming stars like Gukesh, like Praggnanandhaa, Vincent Keymer, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, Arjun Erigaisi. They will be doing their best, of course, to try and take a few points from these absolute monsters. And this game is really stunning. I hope you guys will enjoy it. Let's check it out and then we're going to discuss a little bit about the tournament. So Gukesh with the white pieces opens with pawn to d4. And yes, this is Ding's first tournament after the candidates tournament, after qualifying to play for the title of World Chess Champion. Not directly, but as Magnus decided not to play and Nepo is the actual challenger, Ding was second best in the candidates. That's why Ding will be playing against Nepo for the title of World Chess Champion. So let's see how he does. d4, we have knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to f3, going for the anti-Nimzo Indian. We have b6, Ding goes for the Queen's Indian defense, something that we often say that ever since those Alpha Zero games, it seems like Black really shouldn't play this because Alpha Zero just completely obliterated Stockfish when Stockfish played the Queen's Indian. The problem is humans aren't able to play these positions quite at the level of Alpha Zero, so it's still okay for humans to go for the Queen's Indian. g3, we have bishop to a6, bishop to b7, still the most preferred move, but bishop to a6 I think is played at the top level. So b3 also forces white to deal with the hanging c4 pawn. We have bishop to b4 with check, bishop to d2, and now bishop back to e7. So black plays twice with the dark square bishop, but white will also have to do it at some point, as you don't really want your bishop on d2. So bishop to g2, we have castles, and now pawn to d5 by Ding. This is all very well-known theory, nothing new here. Knight to c3, c6, and now bishop to f4. Sometimes c captures on d5 is played, bishop to f4 is the other top move. Knight b to d7, and now c captures on d5. And here some games have reached this position. I think 5 of them in the database from top tier tournaments where c captures on d5 was played. And even though the engine says you should play knight captures on d5, no one plays that ever. E captures on d5 by Ding, and it is now, as of move 11, that we have a completely new game. So the difference is now the e file is semi-open for black and the c file is closed. Usually would have an open c file and both white and black would put their rooks on the c file, but now Ding has this backwards c6 pawn, and it's very interesting to see what he will do with this and how he will push this game forward. So of course Gukesh goes for knight to e1. He wants to put the knight on d3, where he will also have control over e5 but also over the c5 square. So rook to e8, we have knight to d3, and now knight to f8, going after the bishop here. Knight to e6 will force black to either move really back with the bishop or to just trade it. So Gukesh decides to trade it right away. Bishop g5, knight to e6, and here we have a trade. Bishop captures, bishop captures. Now Ding has the bishop pair, and we'll see if he is able to do something with it. We have pawn to e3, opening up this diagonal, but it should not be a problem. But that's just it. It should not, but it kind of is, because Ding plays the absolutely tricky knight to c5. And he's not sacrificing a piece or anything. If you capture the knight on c3, will hang. But if you don't capture, how are you dealing with the knight on d3? Which kind of makes e3 a problem. It's not a problem if you play perfect chess, but that is easier said than done. So you have to capture the knight. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to add an extra defender to the knight on d3. So d captures on c5, bishop captures on c3, rook to c1, you have to save the rook, and now queen to f6. Ding develops the queen, connects the rooks, and defends his bishop on c3. Queen c2. You don't have to worry about a move like b captures on c5 now, because the bishop on c3 is hanging, so Ding has to deal with that first, and now Ding plays d4. And now the problem is, if you play e captures on d4 and bishop captures, look at Ding's bishop pair now. You do not want to play against this. You can't move the knight because the rook hangs, you can't move the rook, then you weaken the f2 pawn too much. If you move the knight, also rook is coming to e2, so it will be incredibly difficult for Gukesh to stop this bishop pair. He plays instead, after d4, of course, he plays c captures on b6, we have a captures on b6 by Ding, and now rook f to d1. And now you might expect rook a to c8 to add more support to this c6 pawn, but Ding just plays rook to d8. He says this will not be an issue. And okay, e captures on d4, bishop captures on d4, and now what's the idea behind the hanging c6 pawn? Can Gukesh capture it? Let's check out queen captures on c6. That loses fairly quickly because now just bishop captures on d3, and it doesn't matter if you trade queens or not. If you play queen captures on f6, then just bishop captures on f6, and the bishop is now defended. You're down a full piece. So what you could play is rook captures on d3, but that also doesn't help because now queen captures on f2 check, and you get checkmated. Rook to d1, rook to e1 check, rook captures, queen captures, and once the bishop blocks, it will be queen to f1 checkmate. So the queen cannot capture on c6. One thing Gukesh could do is play bishop captures on c6, and it is in fact the strongest move, but to voluntarily put your bishop on c6 and run into rook to c8, it just doesn't look like a very human move. I will show it because it's a classical game. We should show nice lines. Now the thing is, now you have to find knight to f4. It adds additional support to this f2 pawn, and you don't have to worry about g5 because knight to h5 will come with an attack on the queen. So here you will see something like bishop captures on f2, queen captures on f2, now rook captures on c6, and now knight to d5. White has to play this in order to trade as many pieces as possible. Now you either trade queens or you don't, and then look at this. Just rook captures on c6, queen captures, and queen captures on b6. Absolutely spectacular. Queen to a8, and now knight to e7 check. Even if rook captures, then rook to d8 will win the black queen, so you're going to have to play king to f8. Now the knight will move, and you have this position, let's say, where the material is almost equal. Gukesh would be up a pawn, but I mean, it's hard to say if you will be able to survive with your king wide in the open like this. So okay, it's a possibility, but you really have to calculate everything. So here Gukesh goes for knight to f4 first. It makes sense. You really don't want your f2 pawn hanging all the time. Now Ding plays pawn to g5, but now it's a little bit different because now after knight to h5, queen to h6 attacks the knight, and now there are all sorts of problems. The knight is hanging. Also rook to e2 is coming. If rook to e2 lands, then the f2 pawn will be just weak. So here bishop to f3. The only good move for Gukesh, defending the knight, also guarding that e2 square, but now pawn to c5, and this is how Ding solves the problem of the c6 pawn. It took him a while, some 25 moves, but now once it's on c5, look at this. The bishop and pawn here really control the two rooks, and the two rooks really have no business being on c1 and d1 as long as Ding has this pawn on c5 and bishop on d4. Here Gukesh plays g4. Okay, now the knight is defended. You don't have to worry about that, so you can move the bishop. But now Ding has an absolutely spectacular move, which you guys are welcome to try and find. Feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always trying to open new lines for attack on your opponent's king. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is pawn to f5. Such a brutal move to see on the board. Ding, of course, played it. And now the problem is you can't really capture this. Look at this. If queen captures on f5, then there's bishop to c8. And now where do you move the queen? You can't really go anywhere. You can play c2 or b1. Let's say queen to c2. But now Ding has the semi-open f-file as well. He's just going to play rook to f8, attack the bishop, and then the f2 pawn will become weak. Then he's going to pile up on that f-file. Rook's coming to f7 with more pressure. Then the queen will come to help, and you will not be able to withstand this. So after f5, Gukesh plays knight to g3. He goes after the f5 pawn this way. But now Ding just plays f captures on g4. And now the problem is, if you capture with the bishop, then Ding shifts the bishop to this diagonal. And now once you say goodbye to this diagonal, well, I mean, if you just look at the lines black is controlling, you don't even have to calculate this position. So this is, I mean, too scary to even look at. So after this f captures on g4, we have knight to f5 going after the queen and the bishop here, but now queen to f6. And it seems like Gukesh could capture on d4 and maybe alleviate the pressure a little bit, but if knight captures on d4, then g captures on f3. And again, you have problems that cannot be solved. How are you stopping checkmate here? You can play queen to f5. Okay, this offers a queen trade, but now rook d6, and after queen captures, rook captures, the f3 pawn is still defended. Let's say knight to c2, you're going to play something like rook e4, then advance the pawns, and then the king, and then it will be, again, the bishop is much stronger than knight. You're up a pawn, Ding would win this position. So after queen f6, bishop to e4, a very strong move by Gukesh, putting pressure on the h7 pawn as well. Ding plays h5, of course he needs to advance those pawns to attack the black king, because the white king, because with these bishops here, once h4 and g3 lands, that's it. You will not be able to play f captures on g3. You don't have to calculate to see that this is crushing. So Gukesh finds the absolute best move. He plays pawn to b4, as it often is the absolute best move. King f8 by Ding. He wants to get the king away from any and all checks. Like he wants to get away from this check. He wants to get away from this check. He wants to get away from potential knight checks. So king to f8 eliminates any check that white had in mind in the foreseeable future. And now Gukesh has a chance to maybe defend this position, but yeah. It would be silly to even ask you to find the move here. So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna show you what Gukesh played a3 here, and it's almost the correct move. He has to play a4 here, but it's impossible to understand why. The point is, after Ding continues with h4, now you can play b5. That's the point. And now, okay, you can't go here. The bishop controls b7. You have to play bishop here. Now knight captures on d4. C captures and pawn to a5. Look at this. Now you are threatening a6, a7. So b captures on a5. Now pawn to b6. You sacrifice this pawn as well. Otherwise, b7 is coming. And after queen captures on b6, there's the bishop c6, blocking the black queen from helping out with the defense. Queen is coming to not to f5, but you can bring the queen anywhere you want, and then you will at least have some sort of a perpetual, maybe even checkmate. To show you how maybe this could play out, let's say d3. Okay, you have to find some wizard moves here. Queen to c3 goes after the black king. Rook to e6 now also stops the queen to f6, and now queen to h8 with check. King f7, queen to h7 check, king f6, bishop to e4. Now again with all sorts of nasty ideas like rook c7, queen g7 checkmate. So d2, rook to c7 now threatening checkmate, and now bishop d7 blocking. And it's a, I mean, look at this position. It seems like anything is possible, but white would actually have to settle for a perpetual here with king e7 and queen g7 check, king e8, queen g8, and now we will have a nice perpetual here. So absolutely crazy stuff here. I mean, it's impossible that it would play out this way, but I just want to show you what the position hides, or the secrets that are hidden in the position. But okay, Gukesh played a3, and the problem is this does not come with any threat, and now Ding is free to play h4, and now g3 is pretty much unstoppable. Rook to e1, Gukesh is what Gukesh played, and now feel free to pause the video and find the finishing blow for Ding while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always finding incredible ways of breaking through your opponent's defenses. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook captures on e4. Now and now once you see what Gukesh played, now you will realize why rook captures on e4 is so powerful. Gukesh played queen captures on e4, but let's discuss rook captures on e4. It seems also possible, because now if queen captures rook, you can just deliver a check and pick up the black queen. The problem is there's bishop to d3. Look at this spectacular idea by Ding, and now you really don't have a move. Once you play queen captures on d3, just bishop captures on f2, and now it's white actually who loses the queen. King captures, rook captures, and you cannot defend the knight, so you will lose the knight as well. So it's queen and rook against rook, and rook completely crushing. So Gukesh played queen captures on e4 instead, but that does not save him from Ding's idea. Bishop to d3 works once again, and now queen to e6. Okay, you offer a queen trade, played, but now Ding is very happy as he will have the mighty bishop pair for a rook. So queen captures on e6, rook captures, and now just bishop captures on f5. Absolutely incredible. Now the two bishops will fight against the rook, and well, you just can't save this. Rook captures on b6 is played. This does create a passed pawn for Gukesh, but Ding just goes for the kill. Pawn to g3. H captures, you cannot save this. B captures and c5 was played, but now just bishop to h3, and he was in this position on move 39 before reaching time control that Gukesh resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Let me just check. I don't want to trick you guys. Maybe he, I mean, it's not very likely, but maybe he did lose on time. No, okay, he still had 2 minutes on the clock when the game ended. I thought maybe because it's move 39, maybe because they didn't reach time control that he maybe lost on time, but no, he just resigned here. The problem is black can just move pieces like like a cat could move pieces for black and you would still win this because every move wins. Let's say rook to c2, you want to add a defender, now rook e8, threatening checkmate. And now after rook to b1, defending checkmate, you could just play g4. This is very important because you have to play g captures on f2 and then attack the pinned piece once again. And now after, let's say, c6, you're going to play king to g7, you're going to play c7, g captures on f2 check, rook captures, and now you will attack the pinned rook once again. King h2, g captures on f2, and that's it. Nothing more to be done here. a4, you're going to play rook to e1 with check, and of course now the white king will get checkmated. King h2, bishop to e5 with check, king captures on h3, and queen to g3, one of the possible continuations, but like I said, anything wins here for black, and of course that's why Gukesh resigned. So there you have it. If you were wondering if Ding is ready for the World Chess Championship match, if we consider what happened in round 1 against a spectacular player like Gukesh with the white pieces, I would say that Ding is ready, but still. World Chess Championship is a different story, and Nepo is a different kind of beast. We'll see what happens there. For now, we are focusing on the Tata Steel. Incredible game by both of them, but it seems that Ding absolutely out-prepared Gukesh. This e captures on d5 move that was never played before obviously proved too much for Gukesh. And even though he defended well already, when Ding just a few moves later, Ding found this knight to e5, knight to c5 move, which won him the bishop pair, and it was just he already had the bishop pair, but it made the bishop pair more powerful. So, I mean, absolutely incredible game, a masterpiece, if you will. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. First game that we've covered from the Masters. Hope more games are this incredible. We'll see what happens. I would like to thank randomfile.net, Jimbo, Robert Kiefer, Duitran, and Ravishing Reptiles YouTube for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Tata Steel Masters and Challengers until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.